Well, I don't want to think of, or actually, I don't think I've had the challenges because I'm a woman. I come from Mexico. I was raised in Mexico, but I actually was raised by my father. It's an interesting story. But I've been living in New York since I'm 16, and I don't think that gender in my particular field has played a role. I think more of it as the position that I'm in, the fact that I've been a correspondent for 10 years in New York, which has been a challenge itself, a very interesting one. But in terms of, I think one of the panelists had mentioned the fact that you're far away from the headquarters where big things are happening. It's a bit of, you're not seen, or you have to work much harder to be seen. But I wouldn't say that there are things that have been directed because of my gender. Unlike a lot of my colleagues, I don't have kids, I don't have a family, so I guess for this profession it's even better because you're always on the run, always traveling. It's very demanding, very long hours, very unpredictable. So I can't really say that as a woman I felt that there are challenges. I mean, if anything, I think Latin television, there's a stereotype of a woman being always very beautiful, very glamorous, very sexy, and in a stereotypical way. For me, it hasn't been a challenge, but I don't necessarily think at times that I fit into that profile. But I would then say that I've been respected. No one has ever called me to tell me to dress in a different way, or Nayeli, you're not as thin as your other colleagues. Mm-hmm. So no, I can't think of something because of my gender. Well, I do see it. Actually, I'd say that I see as reporters in the Latin market. I wouldn't be able to provide you with the numbers, but it's very equal. I would even say we have more women in my particular show, more women. And my bosses and the producers and the executive producers, senior producers are women. And a lot of things have changed within the network in the past 5 years. And right now, like, our bosses are men. But previous to that, like, the president of news is a man, and a lot of like high ranks are men. But prior to that, actually, it was dominated by women, at least in Univisión. So that's also something that is very interesting. I started working 13 years ago, and 13 years ago, all of the bosses were women. And again, this has actually changed in the past 5 years with the new administration. So it depends what kind of bosses we're talking about. But for example, yes, the president of news is a man. Most of the high-ranking producers and positions, they're also men. But within my show, it's a women-dominated show. Well, I think that definitely having women in journalism brings another point of view because it has been or was a male-dominated field. And I think the issues, the sensitivity, bring something to the table. I also feel that in my particular experience, having women as my leaders, or at least in the first decade, didn't really make a difference. And I think that is also one of the topics that was touched upon previously. I don't think that in that particular area of work there was any kind of solidarity, if you could say, because you're a woman. I know what it feels like to juggle and to have kids. I think that the women that were in charge, actually, they were at a very privileged position, and there was no sort of sensitivity for other colleagues of mine that might have it more difficult or difficult time balancing their career and their personal life. But in terms of coverage, I think it's a different topic. And in terms of the actual network that I've been in, or environment that I've been in for the past decade, it's also another theme. I think that right now the company is changing. For the first time in the past decade, I've seen programs of mentoring available, of just different seminars where you can advance in your career, whether it even be setting up a site on LinkedIn, just different tools that weren't available, as if instead of providing you within a huge network the possibility of going up in your career, it was like you're there and you'll be stuck. Now the mentality and the philosophy has changed, but again, I cannot say that I can't attribute it to the fact that it has to do with women, men, or just the people that were in charge of the company or the network that were running the network. Definitely. I think that lately it's been very much a theme. I speak with women, or somebody also referred to it as a movement of women helping other women, of having the consciousness of and the responsibility, feeling socially responsible to help and empower other women throughout my life. And that is something both in Mexico or the US. It's like a new trend. I hope it stays. And I imagine that it's also the result of a struggle and a result of other people facing discrimination in the workforce, in spite of all the great gains that women have accomplished in the past century.